Here are the Beatles. Here are the Beatles.
I've seen you interviewed many times, television, screen, watched your films. One question I don't think you've been asked, you probably have, I don't know, why are you called the Beatles?
Why not? You
Come on,
suppose by any other name, eh?
Yeah.
The name John thought of.
Did John think of it?
Mm-hmm. No, John did.
Who thought of it? Ringo, did you think of it?
John thought of it.
John thought of it.
John thought of it.
John, there's a rumour in the news of the Beatles paper that you might be leaving the group.
Rubbish. I'm
Absolutely.
contracted. Been trying to get out for years.
When it got sort of contemporary, as it were, I think Rubber Soul was about when it started happening.
Well, why do you do this? Obviously, you've got all the money you need in the world now, all the fame,
It's
all
that
the fame.
get up and go.
Why do you want
It's
that?
the kicks, man.
Showbiz, like showbiz.
We hardly ever took more than 3 hours over a song. Really? And I don't remember ever having a dry session. The nearest it came was a song that ultimately was called Drive My Car.
But this one, either John would bring a song in or I bring a song in, and I was out at his house and I had this song, which is basically the tune and everything.
Drive My Car. His song with contributions from the... Baby, You Can Drive My Car? No, I don't know if I put anything. You know what? How's it go beside the lick? That was it was a la Motown lick at the time. Doom, 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 with the Motown bass line. And
Well, I had this crappy idea about golden rings. I can get you golden rings. I can give you anything. And baby, I'll love you. You know, but it was all about golden rings. And we were sitting there for an hour. Like, we couldn't get past these golden rings. We just hated it. We were stuck. And he agreed, this is going nowhere. So we kind of had a cup of tea and came back and thought, let's get rid of these bloody rings, you know, chuck them out the window.
we got this Drive My Car thing. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, it happened in the studio live, and then we just threw that in.
And then we kind of totally got this tongue-in-cheek idea of a girl wanting to hire a chauffeur, but she's got no car.
I don't see too much difference myself in Rubber Soul and Revolver. To me, they could both be like Volume 1 and Volume 2. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't played them right back to back of each other, but they both were very pleasant and enjoyable records for me.
And Rubber Soul was an indication of the way things were going to go. It's one of my favourite albums. I think it's a great album.
Our whole attitude was changing. We'd grown up a little.
Hello? How are you?
Are you really going to get a honeymoon?
No, I don't think so. Not with the likes of you chaps around. John and George were at the wedding, and they were made up, you know. Oh, they're happy, but we don't know about Paul yet, because he's away on holiday.
He hasn't been in contact. Did he know you were getting married?
No.
Where is he?
He's away.
Do you know where?
Yes, but I'm not telling you. Well, you might as well have a bit of peace. I'm not getting it.
The day I wrote Nowhere Man in 1964 sometime.
I'd spent 5 hours that morning trying to write a song that was meaningful and good, and I finally gave up and lay down, and Nowhere Man came, words and music, the whole damn thing, as I lay down in the other room away from where I wrote the song.
We've all experienced this on different levels. When I'm creating, the creating is the joy. The song coming in, oh my God, you know, what's this doing? You know, it's writing itself. It's like I'm sort of watching somebody else doing it.
You know, everyone's got
such a departure. I mean, that was
Rubber Soul. I don't know that. To me, all I can remember is that was a kind of straightforward album.
We love Bob Dylan.
I mean, I heard of Bob through John. He'd played the records to me, and it was just great.
We listened to his album, and it really gave us a buzz, and we played it constantly over and over and over again.
Because Dylan had just come out, and we were big fans of Dylan. So a lot of the things would be that kind of thing, you know.
We met him, it's hard really to say, because he just came up to our hotel room, basically, and we sat around and talked.
That was the first time for me that I'd really smoked marijuana.
Norwegian Wood is my song completely. And that's another thing that hurt me in George's book, where he says he didn't count the sitar on Norwegian Wood.
It was around that time I bought a sitar. I just bought like a cheap sitar in a shop called India Craft in London. And it was lying around. I hadn't really figured out what to do with it.
and saying, Paul was saying, and George Martin and George Harrison, well, how do you want to do it? How do you want to do it? I said, here, and I started doing it. And I said, can you play this lick on the sitar? And he said, oh, well, give me some time. He went over in the corner, and he learned the lick, which I'd already written on the guitar. That lick is a guitar lick.
And when we were working on Norwegian Wood, it just needed something, you know? It just needed something, and it was quite spontaneous from what I remember. I just picked the sitar up and kind of found the notes, and I just kind of played it. We mic'd it up, and we put it on, and it just, like, seemed to hit the spot.
Norwegian Wood was the first song that ever had a sitar on it, and it wasn't a casual throwaway like George implies in his book.
The Beatles are back, all four of them, but the usual screams and shouts were lacking at the airport, and with good reason, too. Music lovers, or what have you, were advised in advance not to go to the airport to greet them because they would get off the plane in a special area, far away from the terminal buildings. But there will be no lack of welcomes on their journey across the country. Their first big appearance will be Sunday night, before their largest live audience. About 55,000 persons are expected to show up for the concert at Shay Stadium.
And a song with Shea, which was just really just me at parties. And so me and George were like the young kids who were kind of, you know, crashing the party. John would say, come along, all right. So we'd wear kind of a black roll neck sweater to try and look very French. And I'd often take the guitar and sit in the corner and thinking, you know, some girl would go, wow. But years later, John did say, remember that crazy little French thing you had? He said, you should finish that. Interesting, it was a big hit because it was out of left field. Whereas all the other songs, you sort of knew what genre they were. This one was French. Luckily, we came in prepared. We knew it all. So I played the guitar, did that. George made a lovely solo on electric guitar. And the rest of the guys sort of filled in.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored by their country, decorated by their queen, and loved here in America, here are the Beatles.
It sort of dawned on me that love was the answer when I was younger. On the Beatles' Rubber Soul album, the first expression of it was a song called The Word. The word is love. In the good and the bad books I have read, whatever, where the word is love seemed like the underlying theme to the universe, and expressed that. You know, there's something about love that's fantastic, even though I'm not always a loving person. I want to be that. I want to be as loving as possible.
Is the loudest thing you've ever heard Shea Stadium with the Beatles? Is that the loudest sound you've ever heard?
Yeah.
Around about that time, we were in New York and we'd played to 56,000 people at Shay Stadium. And just after that, you know, you just sort of think to yourself, you know, what more can you do? The only thing you can do more is play to 57,000 or 58,000 next time.
The problem with all of that was our amps were as big as this cup. You know what I mean? We had very little volume, so it just waved over you. I think besides how loud it was, the size of it.
Because that was kind of the first time that had been pulled off.
So they say, yeah.
Vox made a special big amplifiers for that tour, and they were like 100 watts. We went up from the 30-watt amp to the 100-watt amp.
You know, the amps were so small, the volume we could get was so small, and we never got louder than the audience.
It's a waltz, this one. Remember that. Anyway, the song's called Hopefully Enough. Ah, look at that.
Well, it was marvellous. It was the biggest crowd we ever played to. It was the biggest live show I think anybody's ever done to us.
Yes.
And it was fantastic. You know.
So you start to realise, you know, that you've either got to keep trying to play to more and more people and trying to be involved in bigger and bigger events, or else just sort of cool it down a bit, you know.
How's Zach's getting on?
He's fine, thank you very much.
Doing very well. And how's your youngster, John?
He's doing very well too.
Very glad. Paul, everyone wants
Mine's
to know...
fine, thanks.
What did he say? Everyone wants to know when you're getting married.
So do I. So does his son. So does my son, and I've got 5 kids up in Swansea.
I think In My Life was the first song that I wrote that was really consciously about my life. Because we were just writing songs a la Everly Brothers, a la Buddy Holly, a la pop songs, and there was no more thought to it than that, than to create a sound. And the words were almost irrelevant. And In My Life started out as a bus journey from my house in 251 Menlove Avenue to town, mentioning every place that I could remember. This was before even Penny Lane was written. That I had Penny Lane, Strawberry Field, tram sheds. Tram sheds are the depot. After going through that kind of thing, then I lay back and these lyrics started coming to me about the places I remember. Now, Paul helped write the middle 8 melody to that, which is the lyrics were already there. The whole lyrics were already written before Paul even heard it.
Something like In My Life, again, would be John's idea, and I'd write the melody to it for him.
His contribution melodically was the harmony and the middle 8 itself. Not the whole middle 8, but he contributed that. His input was with me there on the chord changes, going from D and it goes to F, the middle 8.
Do you remember the first time you heard Rubber Soul?
I remember I heard it sometime in 1965. 1965, yeah. Late 1965. And I was smoking pot. I just tripped out on that album. I said, that's the coolest album I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like a collection of Beatles folk songs. That's the best way I can describe it. Kind of like Beatles. I don't know, just something very special how all the songs kind of were like a collection of songs that belong together, like Pet Sounds.
Run for Your Life, just a sort of throwaway song of mine that I never thought much of, but it was always a favourite of George's. Because it was one of them I knocked off just to write a song, and it was phony.
Many groups have had a lot of trouble because of disputes that break out among members of the group. All of you get along pretty well?
Well, we've been each other's friends for years, a long time.
I've never met them yet.
I knew George and John.
I don't even know the girl.
So we are each other's friends, so we get along.
Rubbish.
You get along pretty well. Friends do, yeah. Lucky. George.
I'm got a ticket for any of the performances. They don't give us tickets. We just play, Have you heard about having a place to play or not having a place to play?
No.
Can I do this? What?
No. John's the only one. Yeah. It's so corny when you say we're just good friends, isn't it?
I mean, Walter Winchell.
Larry went off.
Hey, Walter Winchell. The airport man says we've got to go. Back on the 23rd for photos and phones.
Girl, there's no such thing as the girl. She was a dream, But the words are all right, It's about, was she taught when she was young that pain would lead to pleasure? Did she understand it? All that. The sort of philosophy quotes was reasonable. I was thinking about it, when I wrote it. It wasn't just a song.
What do you like best about America?
I don't know. Everything.
What do you like best about America?
I think it's the size and the pace of it, it's so different to Britain. Knocks me out,
Yes. What did you want to do before you became a Beatle?
Nothing. I didn't want to do anything else. Honest.
And what do you like best about America?
The music. American music.
John?
Yes.
What did you...
You're in the way, Ruth.
What did you want to do before you became a Beatle?
Nothing really. I just wanted to be rich, you see. Well, I wanted to be a Beatle mainly.
What do you define as a Beatle?
That's what we are, a group singing and selling records. That's what I wanted to do.
How would you define Beatlemania?
I couldn't define it. A lot of people have tried. I'm not going to try.
How about the sales of the Rubber Soul album? I've understood they're phenomenal.
They are spectacular. I believe that they exceed 1.5 million.
It is outselling the Meet the Beatles album, which was the first one.
Yes, I believe it has. Yes. Well, the boys very honestly believe, and there's no conceit here, that this is their best album from a music point of view.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's a fantastic album, and everyone else does too.
And I'd often take the guitar and sit in the corner and